Montreal Rocks, and we're so excited, man. Ray Angry, the Roots, in person for the Montreal Jazz Festival. What does that feel like? The Montreal Jazz Festival. What does it mean to you to be at this event?
It means that I'm alive and I can create music with my friends and also share my musical experience with a beautiful audience, especially post-pandemic.
Yeah.
This is my first time doing a performance outside of the U.S., and it's exciting. It's really exciting.
And I know that you are a pianist, a producer, a composer, and at this point in your career, you've reached that tipping point where it's actually easier to say who you haven't worked with than who you've worked with.
That's very good.
So let's just kind of keep it at that.
Yeah.
Now, Sebastian is your middle name.
Wow, yes.
And you were named after Johann Sebastian Bach.
Yes.
What has classical music brought to modern music? What was the gift that classical music kind of gave?
I think that's a very good question. And for me, it's I think music in general, because I don't like labels, but classical music in and of itself, to me, the sophistication that goes into writing and composing that music, also married with the sophistication of African rhythms and all these different styles of music around the world, which I'm in love with and I'm constantly learning. And so for me, blending those worlds together is everything for me. You know what I mean? And so I love classical music. I mean, I grew up playing classical music, but also grew up in the church. And so it's like the best of both worlds.
I mean, you started with gospel.
Yeah.
And it's only...
No, I actually started with, classical music, really.
Yeah.
Because
I'm talking about the church. You got exposed to gospel.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it was only in college that you got exposed to jazz.
Yeah, well, I was exposed to jazz in high school, but I wasn't good.
Yeah.
So I never made the big band. But in college, I was, I met Chris Dave, and I met, Wynton Marsalis and Branford Marsalis and all of my heroes who heightened my love for jazz. You know what I mean? And that's so, I would say college, my love for jazz was just,
So there's always that point in your life where you hear music and it's your parents' music, and then all of a sudden you hear something and go, no, this is mine.
Yeah.
Was that at
Yes,
that time?
absolutely. I think I've always been sort of on my own little path in terms of like music, because I was always curious and always searching out new music. Even when I was in college, like I was the only kid in my class who was going out to the jam sessions. Mm-hmm. I would actively go out to jam sessions because I wanted to learn jazz and I wanted to learn to play with other musicians and see what was out there. So I've always been curious about music.
I mean, it was your father that saw an ember of talent in terms of piano.
Yeah, my father.
What was the kindling that he added to you to turn you into the blazing fire of talent you are today?
I would tell you this, man. My father was my greatest cheerleader. He always, when I didn't have confidence, he always gave me confidence. I remember one time I was like 7 or 8 years old, and I went to this concert, and it was this classical pianist. His name was Dino, but he was in the gospel world. And he was doing this concert at this church, and we sat in the front row. And at this point, I was just starting to take lessons, and somehow during the concert, Dino's talking or whatever. Maybe I don't know if I was doing something, and my father said, "Oh, my son plays piano," And so Dino called me on stage.
Wow.
So I was like 5 or 6 years old playing on stage, and I was probably like improvising, And so, but my father just really pushed me. That's really, really what, and even to go to college, he really pushed me to like, even, he passed away a couple years ago. Even on his deathbed, he always instilled in me, play like it's your last time. And so that's what I've been doing ever since.
That's what you'll be doing tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your first tour was with a band called Shay.
Shy.
Shy. Thank you. When you read it, when you say
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
do
yeah,
other
yeah,
things.
yeah, yeah.
And then you came back to school.
Yeah.
But what lesson did you learn from that first touring experience?
That the road is always going to be there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And as an 18-year-old, curious about, I always wanted to travel and always wanted to see the world. And when I got the experience to tour with Shy, it was really great because I was on tour with Mary J. Blige, Belle Biv DeVoe, SWV, and the wild part is, I was on tour with them when I was 19, and I just did the Roots concert, and we did a show with Mary J. Blige.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like I was
Full
transported. It was full circle. Amazing. Yeah.
That's cool. They call you Mr. Goldfinger. Now, I find that kind of interesting. I'd like to know why, because I haven't really found out exactly where that came from, the origin story. But what's interesting is Goldfinger, obviously from the James Bond movie, he's the villain.
Yeah.
So I hope you're not the villain.
No,
in the story. And what's interesting is that the actor that played him was actually in the Nazi Party. And
Oh, I didn't know that.
no, and then what happened was that in Israel they banned the film because of that. But he quit just before World War II.
Wow.
And they kind of lifted the ban because they found out later that he was responsible for saving the lives of 2 Jewish people because he hid them. So I thought that was an interesting story of, we live in cancel culture.
Yes, of course.
And being a Nazi party, I would assume is a good reason to be canceled.
Yeah.
But then, there's a redemption story there.
There's always a redemption story. I feel like.
So what was the Goldfinger story for you? I mean, is it just because you make gold records
Well,
with your fingers?
No, actually, I was working with Queen Latifah, and I was working with this band. I was working with Christian McBride, incredible bass player, an incredible friend, and so he was like, he said something. We were rehearsing or something. He was like, and this was my first time working with him, and he called me a secret weapon, and so during that time I was working with this girl, this artist named Sophia, and she, she had this idea to pitch a song to the Bond franchise because they're working on a new James Bond movie. So she wanted to pitch a song. And so, mind you, I'm working with Christian McBride, and now I'm working with all these different artists during the time. And so she just started calling me Goldfinger, Mr. Goldfinger, because she wanted me to come on, let's write this song,
Yeah.
And so we wrote the song, and I don't know if the Bond family ever heard it, but it was very cinematic, very Bond-like, and that's where it came from. And then I put 2 and 2 together also because I was working with so many different people, and to me, James Bond represents the guy who's putting out the fire. We got a problem here, that's the guy to call. And so that's how I relate to the name, because everyone's, if I'm in the studio, hey Ray, can you come here? Yeah, sure. Can you do the TV show? Can you do the Tonight Show? Sure. Can you so I'm just moving around so much.
Yeah, and one day maybe Shirley Bassey.
Shirley Bassey, oh my God, I love
one day.
I love her.
I know.
And I was talking to her manager. I was like, hey, I would
Something's
love
gotta
to do something with her, And she was so kind to to chat with me,
You once said that music was energy, camaraderie, and community.
Yes.
I want to talk first about energy. Is there a time that you can remember where music gave you energy or helped you through something?
Music is helping me right now because I just, not to be a Debbie Downer, I lost two brothers. And
Sorry to hear that.
yeah, it's all the time, but I'm so busy with music, with things in my career that I don't have time to sit and process their death. So music is my therapy. It has been my therapy, and also community is my therapy as well, because I get to connect with different people, and also it there's a purpose to my music. You know what I mean? There's a purpose to what I'm doing, and I want to fulfill that purpose. And also in the memory of my brothers, in the memory of my family, my father. My father would freak out if he saw the stuff that I'm doing now. Because that's what he saw. You know what I mean? When I was a little kid, he saw.
Pushed you on stage. And
Yeah,
now,
yeah. He pushed me on stage. And it was
so obviously that's one part, the energy and the therapy of it all, but there's also the camaraderie and the community. And I'm thinking specifically about your Producer Mondays. What is it that your guests get from that experience, and what do you get from that experience?
Well, I'll put it to you this way. People, our lead singer, I don't want to put her out there. But anyway, our lead singer, Camilla, she's incredible. And I found out this past summer, because we're talking, because we have a new album coming out, and I have so many different things I want to do at Producer Mondays.
Are we talking about two? Because you have one.
No. No, so Producer Mondays is a weekly thing, but it's a whole, franchise that I'm working on. There's a whole album that I've recorded. I've recorded 27 songs in 6 days. And so what I get out of it is I get the pleasure of working with incredible artists, also get the pleasure of creating music in the moment, but truly in the moment, and also get a chance to just meet people who share their stories with me. Like people often, what I was going to relate to Camilla is that the notion that people come there with an open heart, and they also might come and have going on in their lives, and just being in that room and experiencing music being created in the moment in such a real and authentic way. I remember Camilla was saying that there was a security guard that worked in her building, and he didn't know she was coming to Producer Mondays every Monday, because she was working from 7 to 7, and then she would come to Producer Mondays, and I didn't know her. And she would come every week. She just kept, and I was like, oh, let's go. And she kept coming back.
That's a drive.
Yeah, and that's what Producer Monday has been. Like, people have been coming. Like, my guitar player, Jeff Andy, he was just another person coming to sit in, and they just come, and they just stayed. They just kept coming back, And Camilla was telling me that, security guard came to Producer Mondays just randomly, and saw her, and saw her singing. And he was like dumbfounded. And he was talking to her, and he was in tears because he wanted to commit suicide.
Really?
And that moment changed his life. He just felt like that's what people, Producer Monday saves lives.
Yeah. There's a life out there that you can put yourself out there.
Yeah. And for me, I see music as a tool to bring people together, and that's what I get out of it. I get to connect people. That's the Goldfinger.
I love connecting people.
I love connecting people, and I love making music, and I'm such a creative. I just love creating, and also the idea of getting artists to not be afraid to create. You'd be surprised at how many people are they get anxiety. Like, I don't know how to write.
Or to do it on the fly. I mean,
yeah, they're like, oh, I don't know how to do it, and they get up there, and they kill it, and they're like, oh my God, that was amazing,
But talking about improvisation, 30 Rock has now become your second home.
Yeah.
So, The Tonight Show.
Yeah.
What an opportunity to be on the fly almost at any minute.
Yeah.
And you also sometimes sub for SNL. So
yeah.
Again, there's just like some free flow jamming, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, what are some maybe? I'd love to hear what's your deepest memory of that building. Like, what's one memory that stands out above the rest?
Well, recently, there's so many. To be honest with you, I was there when Prince performed, and he famously threw up the guitar, and broke Kirk's guitar. Do you know about this story?
No.
Oh my God. Prince sits in on the Tonight Show. I couldn't believe I was in the building for this. He sits in with the Tonight Show, and he asks Kirk, hey, can I play your guitar? Kirk says, oh, can you sign it? And he's like, nah, don't worry about it. And so he's performing, and he motions, hey, you guitar. During the performance, so he takes the guitar, he kills it, throws it up, and by the time the guitar hits the ground, he's already in his dressing room. It was and all you heard was feedback. That's all you heard was feedback. That was the most memorable moment for me. But recently, I played with Wendy and Lisa, and Maya Rudolph, and so there was like a Prince tribute that we did for the last finale of SNL this season, and that was incredible. We were at Rockefeller Center, where the skating ring is.
Yeah,
we were there outside. It was a beautiful day performing Prince's music. I feel like I was in Prince's band. It was so beautiful.
Is there an artist? I mean, obviously Prince cannot play with them anymore. Is there an artist that you really would love to play with? I mean, apart from Bjork, you have a song with Bjork on your album.
You beat me to it, because that's exactly what I was going to say, Bjork.
No, that's too easy, man. I want the second answer. I'm not going to give you an easy one.
Yeah, the second answer. This might be funny. The second answer is going to be, I want to work with Disney.
Okay.
I want to work with Disney and Universal.
I'll hook you up.
Because then I can work with all the artists.
No, I won't. I don't know anybody yet.
Because if I work with Disney, then I can work with everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there's so many people I want to work with. You know what I mean? It's so many artists. Jasmia, who's an incredible artist. At one point, I really wanted to do a record with Pink. This was like in the early 2000s. I was such a fan of her. She's, you don't hear her name that much anymore, but I love Pink and Katy Perry. And actually, who I would love to do a record with? This might sound, you might, be surprised with this, but Taylor Swift.
Okay.
I can imagine
great
myself doing
songwriter.
it. Oh, she's an incredible songwriter.
And the performer.
Oh,
like
my God.
I'm not a Swiftie or whatever they call her fans, but I can appreciate the craftsmanship. And the dedication.
Because she puts. I feel like kindred spirit with people that put their heart into their music. Because I feel like, for me, when I'm performing, like, it has nothing to do with me. When I'm writing, it has nothing to do with me. Everything that I'm creating, it just comes from the universe, and it just comes through me. And so I look at myself as a channel. And so when I see someone like Taylor Swift or, Beyonce, I mean, it's, everyone wants to work with Beyonce, but I would love to work with Beyonce. She's amazing. And I love her sister, Solange. I did her record, See That to Table. I did one or two songs in there. But there's so many people that I want to work with. It's hard when you ask that question. It's hard to like pinpoint one person.
Last question, because I know we gotta leave in a few minutes. I like to play fantasy rock band. It's a little game I invented.
Okay.
So I want you to create the ultimate band. It can't be a band that you're playing with. This is the band you want to see.
Okay.
Artists alive or dead. We need like a lead singer, a bassist, guitarist, drummer. Who would you pick?
Okay. Wow. So, Clyde Stubblefield on drums.
Okay.
Sly Stone on keyboards and vocals.
Sly Stone.
Bootsy Collins on bass.
Ooh, okay.
Bernard Wright on second keyboards. Jimi Hendrix on guitar. Prince on lead guitar, but also singing lead with Sly.
I would love to see that band.
You know what I mean? That's some nasty.
To me, that question brings out who are your influences without asking the question.
Oh, okay.
So I can see that what genre really kind of hit you to the heart.
Yeah.
And Yeah,
I mean, I would add Stravinsky in there. Yeah, I love Stravinsky.
and,
Yeah. Anyway, we could
Great
talk
to
for
talk to
hours
you.
about music.
I know. It's so great to talk to you.
Yeah.
I hope that your performance tonight goes perfectly splendid. It looks like it's going to be a beautiful day.
Yeah.
The whole place is going to be packed. I know. This is like
Yeah.
the grand finale of a jazz festival. I'm so happy you guys are playing.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right.
Yes, it's been an actual pleasure.